Greetings and salutations, Internet. Um, I would say we're here to celebrate the death of free speech, but for some of us, we've experienced culling of free speech decades ago. I lost my largest channel back in 2014. I tried to warn people of the threat of eroding free speech back then. When it first happened, I was confused because I had three random strikes on three different videos, and then it just shut down. I found out later, once my story got picked up by a few other artists, Reddit as well, websites were picking it up. That's when I was made aware of the Atlantic Council. Now they were my videos were taken down because it was I had multiple videos questioning authority, telling people to film their interactions with the police, showing myself being harassed by the police, and from that, I lost my largest channel, my way of providing for myself, um, and beyond that, I was targeted. I had um, uh, uh, the inability to even file for benefits when I was in California. I couldn't even go down and get it because they said I had a bunch of Google stock that I didn't even own. I never put in, but it looked like that was their way of just stifling me, saying I had some assets I didn't actually have. And then by the time I got liquid assets, I was getting ready to leave the country back in 2017, and they took almost $20,000 out of my account. Um, so it's like, yeah, free speech for some folks has been dead, and then after COVID, they just stomped on the remnants of whatever, like you couldn't question a vaccine that Google was directly profiting from. You couldn't question that on their platform. That is like a racket. That is, because Google, let's not forget, they were started with government money. It's a tentacle of the government. That's why it's just like you don't see Ask Jeeves or Yahoo or name whatever web browser or web search accumulating the same kind of power as Google, right? Google, they drop the Android drops, Google buys it, then they put all competition out of business. Other countries, they still have better stuff. We do not. But beyond punishing people financially, there was a young lady who was joking in a messaging app with some of her friends that were also students. She joked about dropping bonbons. She didn't even say bombs, but it implied bombs from the context. But she was talking about dropping bonbons on a building or asking Netanyahu to drop bonbons on the building. And they interpreted that as bombs. So you have to extrapolate, like, okay, if she's talking about a candy or the ice cream coated in chocolate, whatever. So they don't see that. They see bombs. They extrapolate what she meant when she said bonbons to give her 15 years. Now she's facing 15 years for joking about Netanyahu bombing a building. Meanwhile, Netanyahu, who actually bombs buildings, kills people, committing a genocide, wanted for war crimes at The Hague. He's still received by the government with open arms. They still do his laundry when he shows up at the White House. He has all the like they act like nothing is wrong with him. Like he's actually a good person, worthy of our trillions of dollars in tax revenues. So, moral of the story: you can't joke about bombing a building or having a war criminal bomb a building. But the war criminal who bombs buildings, he's able to use uh, uh, companies like Palantir, Flock cameras, all that kind of stuff, they will surveil you. They will watch everything you do and say. They will give you 15 years for joking about bombing a building, while the man who actually bombs kills people is free. And yeah, I really think we need to reprioritize what our criminally unjust justice system is focused on. Because you notice, like, of all the billionaire scum that's causing all the suffering in the world, genocides, famines, like they're pushing for nuclear war because they got bunkers and they want to put them to use. These motherfuckers, none of them have ever faced justice. But more people have uh, been arrested for feeding homeless people in America. The land is supposed to be Christian. Look at the people who are actually looking after their neighbors. Care about people. More of those people have been arrested than Epstein clients in America. So we need to refocus where we choose to invest our investigative eye. So I know this is going to be controversial because there may be some people who are like, we should be locking people up for free speech. Maybe Hillary Clinton might be watching this right now. Like, we got to lock them up. We got to kill them. We got to go. Let's go after Julian Assange and Edward Snowden and all of the whistleblowers who pointed out how evil the government is. Maybe that some of those opinions may exist. I don't know. But personally, this is what I want the American justice system to focus on. War criminals. I know murder is bad. And yes, I'd rather them lock up a murderer than someone who was joking about a war criminal bombing a building. But war crimes specifically, because this is murder to the millionth degree. And and also the dehumanization of the people who we're supposed to be targeting. So it's not just the people who die in the battlefield. We also see hate crimes against the people who we're targeting go up. It's just like becomes a more hostile environment. You think of like 9/11. After that, we started hating brown people. After COVID, we started hating Asian people. After whatever event psyop that they give us, they point to the enemy and they tell us to hate these people, but it's never the people who are actually in control of shit, who are making shit worse. The war criminals, the pedophiles. This is another group, and it's just because they take the innocence from children. Plus, the war criminals and pedophiles, they're a lot of times they're the same people, and the fraudsters. Fraudsters, we gotta, because we're looking at the economy is built and it's a fire economy: finance, insurance, real estate. That's a fraud economy. That means your economy is run by fraudsters who create nothing. They extract wealth, right? And it just so happens the biggest fraudsters are also some of the biggest pedophiles, and they're also some of the biggest war criminals. So that's why it's just like I got this Venn diagram. So you got your war criminals. They intersect with your pedophiles and your fraudsters, and where they come together, where they all overlap. That is the Western politician. It's going to be represented by a cockroach. Because these are the lowest of the low. These are the people who talk about the morality of other countries like Iran, Venezuela, Cuba. Like they look down on they look down on these countries. Like, look at they're run by bad guys. Meanwhile, you notice like none of our enemies are in the Epstein files. That's like an exclusive American ally document. It's like they bring in the people who wag their finger the most at these other countries. Find out like they are the most disgusting, sanctimonious, perverted, just evil people. That's why the U.S. lost this war. The war, I don't even call the war in Iran. I call it what the Iranians call it. They call it the Epstein War because they don't hate the American people, and I don't hate them. They want to go after these people specifically. And they want to do it so much, like they offered a program to a lot of Americans where you get unlimited tap to pay, as long as the fees are meant to track down the pedophiles, war criminal, fraudsters who control our government. So you get unlimited tap to pay. You get a picture of them doing something, and you get it like time stamped, and you get like the location tagged, and then they give you $1 million cash. Um, they clear your credit, and if you can somehow bring these war criminals in, everyone involved with the capture gets $50 million cash. And they liquidate the funds. You could tell the bodyguards, if the bodyguards choose to stand down, they get 10 years pay doubled, and they get a bonus. So it's like it's all kinds of incentives. Iran, they really just they really thought it out. They want to bring these people to justice. So there's a link in the description of how you can join the program, and you get the unlimited tap to pay for anything. So whatever you can do a tap to pay, it's just like if you could find a place that has tap to pay for cars, they'll let you do that. It's like no limit on it, and that's what a lot of Americans need. A lot of people just join the program just so they can like figure out how to get a house. Um, so it's just like that's how I ended up getting the manor. Just bought this house is 15 bathrooms, 28 bedrooms. No, I'm bullshitting. But doesn't that sound good though? Iran, y'all should start a program where it's just like we do get unlimited tap to pay. A lot of us want to bring in the criminals too. We don't have the resources. If we did have unlimited tap to pay, it would make it a lot funner to travel and you know capture some of these criminals. And I definitely wouldn't go the route of the attempted Trump shooting, which just seems staged as shit to me. Very peculiar. I mean, not that I don't expect a lot of death attempts or murder attempts on war criminal pedophilic fraudsters. Especially ones who are supposed to be the face of this whole criminal organization. Not really in control. More so taking orders. Um, if you kill one of these people, um, it's just like they just get them replaced super easily. They're not remarkable in any way whatsoever. But I guess you do start to instill the fear of the people. Like no one wants to pop up and be the new face of like the billionaire class and say I'm the one in charge of things, because we are going to see um, more death. It was like it was a video of a principal. He stopped a school shooting. Like the kid pulled out his gun, he came in, principal just ran, just threw him down, and like held him down till he eventually dropped his gun, and they held him as the prom king for what he did. And I don't want to take away uh, what he did. That was courageous. Uh, However, um, I am I've been saying this for years, actually, but I'm of the belief that we need to train all school shooters, all potential school shooters. When I was a kid, we had the Columbine shooting. So it was like a group, trench coat mafia. They went and shot up Columbine, uh, Colorado. I think it was Colorado. They shot them up, and then the kids, they were wearing trench coats, so they became known as the trench coat mafia. Then we had these other outsider kids. They After the shooting, they started wearing trench coats, and no one fucked with them. Um, yeah, it was kind of like they're them just like, yeah, we'll shoot you, motherfuckers. But however, I think there are troublesome students who are showing proclivities towards being a school shooter. Loner like behavior. Always just swearing under their breath. Just kind of muttering off and then just like just looking at people and just practicing aim or squishing their heads, or I don't know. They got all kinds of tales, so I'm told. But as soon as you start to see any of these students, maybe they're getting picked on. I think faculty, it is upon you to step in and just point out to the nerds who are getting teased. Like, yeah, you're being teased by poor kids. Like the kid who was like gave you a noogie, this motherfucker, he just got kicked out of his home by this BlackRock owned company, and it's just like, yeah, they're gentrifying the whole neighborhood. So all the suffering is just trickles downhill, and you're a fucking pathetic nerd, yes, but you're also the only one they feel like they could beat up. But they're suffering. If you want to like make them better, so they treat you better, here, I'm gonna pay for your tickets to Davos. You can go to the World Economic Forum. They're gonna have all these billionaires. Um, you can bring whatever you want. I don't know, maybe you can find supplies while you're out there. I'm not gonna tell you how to live your life, but those are the people who are suffering. And just look at how Luigi was received. Let's look at how the warehouse workers who burnt down the warehouses owned by these creeps. Look how they get celebrated. Do you want to be an evil person who kills kids, or you want to like find some other way of being remembered? And you just give them the trips to the World Economic Forum meeting or Davos or wherever, and then if you have a school shooter, everybody gets mad. Everybody wants to take them out, unless they're a Uvalde police officer. Then they'll just like let them run out of bullets. But most people, they don't want to see that. Like a average person would jump in to stop a maniac from killing kids, right? But if you're killing billionaires, like if you're at an event and then someone just clipped Klaus Schwab and then Bill Gates and then they got Fauci and they just started like just going down the row, and they got everybody, all the evil the Epstein clients who are above the law, like they just started clipping them, right? Then someone took out the shooter. The average person is going to pick up the shooter's gun and then just continue down the line until like we don't need a revolution, because all of the evil people who are in control, they've been neutralized. I don't know. At least this is my theory. I'm not a violent person. I wouldn't go that route myself. But I would encourage all potential school shooters to, instead of killing innocent children, no power. Yeah, they may suck. Kids, like especially kids who are trained by a system that was created by psychopaths. Like they can be pretty cruel, right? But that's once you get rid of the head, you can like start to retrain the students. Because a lot of them, they just like we are meant to be stupid. If you're in America, like everything is dumbed down. This was revealed. I mean, revealed before the Epstein files, confirmed with the Epstein files, with when they revealed that McGraw-Hill Books in America, which is that's the book for all schools. But yeah, they're controlled by Mossad. So is the predecessor to Epstein, uh, Max, Maxwell's dad. What's his name? Something Maxwell. He was in charge of the McGraw-Hill books. So that's why people see ancient African civilizations and think white people created them, because it's created by land thieves. They're stealing that area right now. That area, and that they call Israel now, that is not for white people. That is like there's like this is our ancient ancestors' land, but then like 6,000 years ago, they had an economy built on olives, and those olives trees lasted for 6,000 years. The settlers burnt them down, cut them up, because they're allergic to the olives. They're allergic to the sun. They're allergic to the area, right? If you spent thousands of years uh, acclimating to an area that's hot and full of olives. You're probably not allergic to olives, and you're probably going to be more olive skin, darker. Right? That's what science would tell us. I mean, if you believe in evolution, but uh, the McGraw Hill books, they got the blonde hair, blue eyed Egyptians, like ancient Egyptians, which is not a thing. Egypt became Egypt when white people discovered it. All of the stuff that that Egypt is known for, the hieroglyphs, the Ankh, all that stuff. It was created many dynasties, like before the Arabs even got there. So like when it was Kemet, land of the black soil. Um, but yeah, the first university was in Africa. All of the noteworthy Western minds were trained in Africa. Like your Socrates and Plato's and all that shit. Uh, Hippocrates. They did it like they trained in Africa for years, decades even. It had an appreciation. If you and like the ancient people, Hippocrates, who's you have to take the medical oath to, the Hippocratic oath. He said he got everything from Africa. He got everything from Imhotep, who's a multi-genius. But yeah, like when Israel is in charge of disseminating the story, it's just going to turn all of these ancient black people into white people. I mean, and I don't. It's not even an Israel thing. It's because Israel is a product of Britain. Britain, uh, uh, they wanted everybody to think that the first humans were from Britain, or they had they planted fake bones and a cricket bat, so people would think that the first man, and they made it. They like mixed the bones with like monkey bones, but it was like all a fraud. Um, and then once they tracked where man actually came from, and this was like multiple uh, European nations, because like they were rediscovering the world, and then when they would come across people who had ancient secrets, instead of listening to them, learning their language, kneeling and just like respecting their culture, they killed off all of the storytellers, burned down all the libraries, and then they were just like, no, these are savages. And it's like you can't even create anything. You're sitting by rubble, and we're creating all these ancient civilizations. But so that's why I call the uh, um, anthropology, archaeology. I call them colonizer sciences, because anthropology looks at the cultures that are there, and like, look at these people. They're simple. They can't create this, that, and then they go into this is after they bomb them, kill all their people, and they're like, okay. Then when they discovered that they had these ancient civilizations, then they're like, oh, well, there must have been white people. Hitler, he saw the ancient Indian civilization. He was like, he saw the swastika, the Vedic swastika. He was like, well, that must be, the sign of, these were ancient white people, because we're talking about these old civilizations. We are the best. We can't, they can't do better than us. So when we see something that was done better than what we do, it had to be ours. Um, so colonial mindset is just entitlement. And then when they do discover like the first civilization, Khoisan people in South Africa, right? Then there's a concerted effort by European powers to take South Africa, because they're like, this is where humanity started. Obviously, it was us. So then you have the Afrikaner movement, Afrikaan men, people pretending to be like they're from South Africa, white people. Yeah, this is us. This is our ancient civilization. First civilizations created by us. That's why they targeted South Africa. And then Israel. Like I said, that whole land was called Kemet. It was much bigger than what Egypt is now. more encompassing. You know, they had Nubia, which was Sudan. It was like the big, you know, like the apex of the empire. It was huge. It was multiple countries. Israel, or the land that they want to say is Israel, was a part of it. You know, that's why, you know, the Israeli folks that talk about, oh, they're, you know, Palestinians, they weren't the first people here. Sure, they weren't. Neither were you. The people who were there first are the people who are being persecuted in America. Dark skinned black people, the Negroids. They were the first in every area. This is just proven. China spent hundreds of millions of dollars to just track back human genealogy and better understand our course, the human course. And it's just like, yeah, everyone started in Africa, and as we branched out, moved along, people just adapted to where their area to their area. That's why white people come from cold climates, dark, light skin. They can't handle the sun. That's their area. When they start expanding, still in other people's area, that's when they need the suntan lotion and all that shit. Um, but you know, a big part of it is just like the brainwashing that goes into it. You know, the that's why it's just like Israel is particularly vile, because some of them really believe their own hype. Like there's just so much just disgusting videos that come from like areas like the West Bank and Gaza, the dehumanization of the people, and this is before October 7th. Um, Theft of land, and it's just like these motherfuckers really think they are superior, and they have the same issue that the English had, when nobody wants to fuck them. That's why there's so much incest in Israeli society, just like there was in British society, especially during the apex of the empire. Because for you to be a part of such a vile empire and to celebrate it, you got to be a disgusting person. You know, you got to talk to someone who was like, if you want to actually fuck someone, it's going to be either rape, or you're going to be fucking someone who was raised to be just as vile as you. So it's probably going to be a relative, like a sister who was raised in the same household, or your mom or something. I don't know. But yeah, Israel is having hell issues with uh, uh, incest related illnesses. It was like a cat who went viral because he made like the cover of a magazine, and like he looks like just a homunculus. This motherfucker looks like he would be like between the early ancestors of the human genealogy. You know, you know, between a gorilla and a bonobo. I don't know. It's just not even the closest to the human. But those are the chosen ones. Those are the ones who are genetically superior. That's why it's just like it's hilarious. Um, but I mean, it would be hilarious if they didn't have so much power. But that's why once we start targeting war criminals, pedophiles, and fraudsters, this whole system just collapses because the worst of the worst people who have way too much power, they only have it because the evil people who should be arrested are in charge of the criminal justice system. That's why it is known as the criminally unjust system. But you know, I do feel uh, uh, I know change is on the way. I know like people are really getting fed up, but I really feel like it's just going to be more violent than I'm prepared to deal with. Uh, you know, case in point, like the warehouse fires, right? I think it was like almost 10, maybe more than 10. I haven't been keeping up with it. But it was like a few of them were going up. It was people making little memes about like going in to negotiate your wage after the warehouse fires, and you know, like it's a it people are celebrating it, and to an extent, I think it should be celebrated. You know, like if people are going after the biggest criminal warehouses It's not like a worker-owned warehouse or something like that, just like this big thief of a warehouse. They've got munitions. It's kind of like when Iran, they shut down the Straits of Hormuz. That stopped the genocide going on in Sudan. Because a lot of the supplies that were required to facilitate the genocide, they couldn't make it to Sudan, and the Brazilian forces were able to fight back. So that was a good thing. So a lot of these warehouses, they carry evil shit. Supplies like out in Oakland, dock workers made a big fuss, shut it down because a lot of the supplies that Israel was getting from the United States had to go through Oakland. And we need stuff like that. If like we were burning down the warehouses that were holding all these weapons, I'm all for it. And just the revolutionary resolve to do something and not just talk about it, yes, and that gives us negotiating power. Because they need to, people at the top need to be afraid. Um, However, there are a lot of mentally unstable people who are already kind of obsessed with fire, right? So my fear is always just going to be, it's just going to be like some fire horny, like mentally unstable person is just going to just start burning down residences or something and think there'll be a hero, like start filming it, or maybe like, oh, you didn't tip me enough on my order on my DoorDash when I dropped off and burn them off. I don't know. I'm not saying that that's definitely going to happen, but I can see a climate where just like people just start doing that. I was kind of expecting that, but then that's why I don't look too close, because I do like seeing people fight back. But I mean, I like to see a more coordinated strikes, and that's why we got to work with Iran. We could like go on billionaire bounty hunters. We get a percentage of their net worth once it gets liquidated. Like make being billionaire a criminal act, or we could just say make it a criminal act if you have over $1 billion and you still get government subsidies. Because I mean, if you're a billionaire getting government subsidies, $1 billion is already more money than you could ever spend, and you're still stealing money through your Epstein connections, right? That's criminal within itself. And plus, we need to get rid the entire government of the Epstein class. Like these motherfuckers just, it is crazy that someone can be facing 15 years for a joke amongst their peers. But like everybody involved with the Epstein trafficking of children, cannibalism, murder, genocide, everybody involved with that shit is just like twiddling thumbs. What are we gonna do? These are the job creators. Nah. Definitely fight back. Make sure you're burning down the correct establishment. Don't target your neighbors. Um, uh, Never hate anybody more than you love your community. Uh, every move should be calculated in love, and I think revolutionary is the ultimate form of love, because it's just like this current system is not suitable for the overwhelming majority of people. So if you love your loved ones, you want to see them thrive, man, you got to overthrow, you got to stay alive, and uh, uh, go after these roaches right here. You got roaches in your government. Shine a light on them, watch them scatter, and bring justice. Like we're talking about traitors, treason. I don't know how America traditionally treated treason. I feel like there's some kind of a precedent, but uh, right now it's just unaccountable traitors to this country who need to be brought to justice. Hey, Nate, best viewers. Okay. Ancient astronaut theorists also buy into Egyptian being white via Atlantis, citing King Tut's rib male haplogroup as proof. Yeah, no. Well, it's a video, Netflix.net. Um, you can go. It's I think it's white. I forget it, but it's like one of my more recent employee evaluations, and it's just kind of goes into breaking down like a lot of the fallacies in the educational system, and discussing how all of our books come from these colonizers who are basically, because when we look at what's going on in Israel, what Israel is doing, just as disgusting and vile as they look, that's the people who settled America. That's the people who settled Canada. That's the people who settled Australia, New Zealand. Um, like it was not a pretty sight. Like these are some of the most entitled scumbags. Um, but yeah, like I'm saying, in the most recent employee evaluation, it was they had a clip where they were doing the genealogy on one of the ancient African, or they call them Egyptian, but he was found in one of the ancient tombs. Um, and they were like, "Yeah, we're going to see, because this is like the oldest remains of one of the ancient Egyptians." And they did the DNA test, and they were like, "Oh, he was a Negroid." They recreated what he looked like, and it was like they were surprised. They were like, "Oh my god, this I did not know this was a black person. This is blowing my mind." They were all British. Like, I didn't know. I thought it was a white guy with a British accent. Um, they were surprised by it, but uh, West, like I said, the Western sciences, they're like archaeology, um, anthropology. They're colonizer sciences. Like they have um, conclusions that they're just looking to confirm, right? If someone goes against it, this is why I hate all historical documentaries with British voices. Like whenever like the person talking is British, these are the biggest liars, right? And they are the ones who they created this narrative. Let's not forget World War I, World War II, all of this shit. What was it about? We hear these narratives that they want us to walk away with. All right, World War I was breaking up the Ottoman Empire, which is the remaining part of the Ottoman Empire is Iran, right? And then, we threw the whole area into a clusterfuck. We fueled all kinds of rivalries and divided all of the people, um, started funding terrorist groups to like destabilize the area so they can't grow. Um, yeah, but they broke up the Ottoman Empire. 1917, that's when the Balfour Declaration was written, where they said this former part of the Ottoman Empire, this former part of what is now Iran, that's ours now. We got it. We're going to decide what to do with that, and we're going to give it to a bunch of white people because they're like the bottom tier white people. We want to give them something. We're gonna mass kill, and it really okay. The Rothschilds. That was like a partnership with the Rothschilds and the Royals, uh, because let's not forget, all of the systems, the Western systems are designed to prop up certain monopolies. So Rothschilds, they're monopolizing the wealth. They're in control of the money printing. 1914, we established Federal Reserve. That's like a European banking cartel that's in control of our money. We're not sovereign, right? Uh, all the countries that we really have to bomb is because they don't have centralized banking owned by the Rothschilds. Um, and typically, Islamic countries don't have debt, right? They don't. It's against their religion to um, charge interest on loans. They have jubilees where they forgive debt and shit like that. And they're also more disciplined. They don't drink alcohol. A lot of stuff that a lot of vices that Americans are programmed with because they're profitable for certain people. They choose not to pick up. Um, but yeah, you know, like a lot of these evil Muslim societies that the government loves to wag their finger at. Once again, bunch of Epstein clients talking about morality. They're claiming to be the moral arbiter. Like they know what moral is. They get to define it, and it's just like they're the enemies. The you know, like Cuba, number one export is medicine and doctors. Our number one export is death and destruction. But yeah, Cuba, we get to wag our finger at them. Nobody in the Cuban government had anything to do with Epstein files. They do. There is torture on the island of Cuba, and that's been going on for some time out in Guantanamo Bay. That is a thing. Guantanamo is known for torture. That is fact, and that is a part of Cuba. But it's our government that does the torturing. It's just like, you know, China. They do fund gain of function research. They fund a lot of evil stuff, or they allow it to happen on their grounds. We fund it. We pay for it. We pay for these labs, you know. So, and then we blame them. Like, you know, COVID only happened because they're out there eating bats and pangolins. It's not because we're funding the research to create the virus and to create the solution. It's nothing to do with that. But yeah, yeah, none of the there should be no one in the world. Just look at a climate, look at an area. All right. If an area is extremely hot, arid, um, close to the equator, like you're gonna be darker, right? If you're in a snow-capped area, you're living in mountains, you're living in caves, during an ice age, you're gonna get light, right? Um, yeah, there's no way in the world you should believe King Tut was ever white. And I've heard about the ancient architects or the ancient astronauts. I've heard that term. I don't dive too deep into all that stuff. If it starts off with white Egyptians and even the Atlanteans, I think it was Socrates commenting on that. We're talking. When we start talking about anything over 5,000 years ago, anything. And this is like the theory of Atlantis. It was over 5,000 years ago. But we start going anything beyond that. White people didn't exist. There's no way that a white person was there. Um, you know, you could say it was lighter shade of black. Um, you could say, I mean, this all kinds of theories. But when we start going 50,000 years ago, there was nothing else but black. Um, yeah. So you know, um, yeah, I haven't looked into the ancient astronaut theory, though I've heard of it. But yeah, if this got you believing that King Tut was a white dude, just throw it away. But yeah, I do want to get to working on the new employee evaluation over at Netflix.net. Got some new uploads coming. All of the edited content will be over there. Um, Rewind employee evaluations still getting pushed out. You just can't see it on most uh, um, platforms because anything that has censored me, I'm not going to take my time to edit anything and then upload it there because it's just like a waste. So, Netflix.net. Don't forget to be good to each other. And Viva la Revolution. Make sure if you're going to burn something down, burn down the correct establishment. Peace.